Welcome to Mr. Adkins' music class. Today we're going to be studying how to draw the chart of note values. These note values are going to be in 4/4 time and then with a dotted. So I'm going to start with the types of notes that we have, and then we're going to divide them into the notes, the rest, the value in 4/4 time, and then the value if it were dotted. We start with a whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth, and then 16th. We make columns for the note, the rest, the value in 4/4 time, and then the dotted value. First thing we do is draw the note. We have a whole note, which is a solid oval, or an open oval like that. The half note would be an open oval with a stem. The quarter note would be an open oval with a stem, but we darken in that oval. The eighth note, I'm drawing two eighth notes that are tied together or that are connected with a flag, as opposed to the single eighth note. Two eighth notes. And then 16th note, that has one flag across, which will be important when we do this next one. These 16th notes here will be connected with a double flag. So we have one flag, those would be eighth notes. Add another flag, and they've turned into 16th notes. All these are darkened ovals as well. The rest would be, the whole rest would be dangling from the fourth line. So it hangs down from the fourth line, and it creates what I tell the kids, a hole. Like if you had a hole in the ground, you're walking on the ground, and there's a hole, you'd fall into it. The half rest rises from the third line. So it comes up from the third line and is darkened in. We call this the half rest, and it kind of looks like a top hat. So we say hat, half, try to make the sounds familiar. A quarter rest doesn't have any real semblance to anything, but we say it kind of looks like a cursive M sideways. So a fancy M sideways is what it kind of looks like. The eighth rest looks like a fancy 7 with a dot on the end of it. And then the 16th rest, we do the same as we did with notes. We just add another flag. So if we think of this as one flag and then this other as the second flag, that would be the 16th notes. The values of these are, in 4/4 time, the whole note would get 4 beats. The half note would get 2 beats. The quarter note would get 1 beat. The eighth note would get half of a beat. And the 16th note would get a quarter of the beat. I don't want to confuse anybody by making the statement, but we're talking about a portion of the whole measure. So when you say it's a quarter note, it's a quarter of the whole. Okay, so the whole note gets 4. A quarter of the 4 would be 1. So that's where that comes in. The half note is half of the whole, so it would be 2 because we're taking half. So we're not saying half of the beat, we're saying half of the whole. Now when we look down a little bit earlier where it gets a little confusing, we have this is a half, and that's a half of the beat. So it's a half of the quarter. So we have a whole measure. A quarter of that would be 1 beat. Then half of that beat would be the eighth note. Okay. So I design it like a personal pan pizza gets 4 slices. So if you had 1/4 of the pizza, you had 1 slice. Now, if we had 8 people sharing that same 4-slice pizza, each person would have to only get half a slice.